whatever we are doing last yesterday and in today and in future of tomorrow, whatever we are doing, we discuss about it. And each of guys they are discussed on what they are facing on day-to-day activities, any problem, any things that need to be changed on their current project on a current Scrum. Uh, then they are also talking about this. So that's it. Hello.
Hello. Yes, brother Zakir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Can you tell me?
Okay.
You said you guys discuss the issues and stuff like that. Can you tell me that when do you guys discuss the issues?
Yeah.
Can you tell me when?
Whenever we got any kind of issue, then I first of all I checked each of everyone browser, is there an issue or not. If there is an issue, then I you know sent to the dev team. Then I got any kind of issue, then can you please fix it for me for the company. Then they're also, if there is an issue, they're immediately they're fixing. Then if they are not fixing that, then he give it to me on feedback on this is not an issue. And after I got such kind of mail, then I was also trying to convince the dev team. Then there is an issue on the future run. The company lose a lot of money, so why not you are fixing on there? If they are not convincing, then I was also referred to the. I was also arrange a meeting with the QA lead or QA manager with the dev manager. Then I want to convince all of each guys. Then there was an issue in the future run after build setup or anything else. Then there's a cost of money for us. So then after we discuss each of everything, then we need to fix it, and we are fixing of this one because of already that. Then QA all the time is right. The dev team, they don't want to accept the issue. So
Okay. So why do you need to convince them? Why do you need to convince them? If you find an issue, and if you prove it that the issue exists, why do you need to convince your team to fix it?
Because of the dev team, they always don't want to be accept the issue. So that's why sometimes they want to they don't want to what do you say, they're not accepting that that one is the issue, right? Sometimes
I understand. I'm a developer. I do whatever I develop. My job is perfect. I know that. I'm a developer. Yeah. You're a tester. But if you find a bug, the valid bug that you reported, why wouldn't I accept it? If you can prove it to me by testing and showing it, why do you need to convince me? I should be looking at the report. I should execute my test, my code, and see it. Or if you write a test bug report, if I can reproduce the bug, why wouldn't I accept it? And why do you need to convince me?
Because of the dev team or developer, they are not. Sometimes they are not accepted. So that's why we need to convince we need to report that.
I understand what you're saying. I don't want to accept because I'm a perfect developer.
Yeah.
I don't accept it. But if you find a proof, then why wouldn't I accept it? So what process do you guys follow in your team in current project? What process you guys are following that developers can get away with such a things that you found a bug and they're not accepting it? What process you are following? What process in place to measure
so
their work?
I send a mail, and I send a mail through the screenshot I found us on a this issue with the CC. I also give it to the CC on test team, just like a team lead or test manager, and the dev team also. If also accept that we need to fix it, then it comes with me on a feedback throw or the
Okay,
dev
so
team.
if you
So
did
I
your
think
part, sending out the email and documentation proving that
purpose. Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
bug, there's a bug in the system. So why do you need to
yes.
convince? What is the convincing part coming from? Because I don't see any logic behind convincing anyone.
Okay.
Don't need to convince. I don't think that there's a reason for convincing anyone. If you're
Okay.
reporting, if you're doing your job, reporting bugs, seeking out, do you guys use any bug tracking tools or anything like that? I mean, do you in your process or process tracking tool?
Yeah, I'm just using on Jira for bug tracking
Okay,
tools.
if you're using Jira, if you're using Jira, then one ticket created under Jira, the ticket that you're testing, and you found a bug, and you create a bug and assign to the same developer that who worked on the ticket, then that should be assigned. And Scrum Master or the other followers, either the team lead of a testing team and also a project manager or the other lead, if they're looking at it, then your job is done. You assigned it, and they're going to validate whether it's a bug or not. They just come back with a proof of that this is not a bug. So you don't need to
Okay.
convince. Why would you be convincing?
Okay.
So point to be noted. Point to be noted that Brother Zakir, I want to give you some feedback. The way you started your speech, it's gotta be organized. Okay, all the things that you have said, organize it nicely, and speak it out. Okay, it has to be nicely organized where you are saying things, what you're doing, and stuff like that. It has to be in orientation. It's got to be in order. But you were saying that you did this. Also. The also word is like all the time coming. So try to use different wording in between how you say it when you say it. So whatever you do, say it nicely in an organized fashion. So it's easier for the listener to understand what you have been doing. You're just kind of uh, mixing up everything while you're saying it. So organize your thoughts and present it nicely when you try to say things like organize as a story in your head. Day-to-day activities, this is what you're doing in your project and what's been done. You don't have to just go out, tell that you found a bug and try to solve it and trying to convince it. Those kind of stuff you don't need to. Well, this is what the daily activities you do. When you find a bug, this is the process in place. This is how you report it. And it is up to them to verify my findings and come up with a solution, whether if it's a valid bug or if it's not valid bug. If it's a valid bug, either based on the priority and severity of the bug, they would either fix it on the same sprint or they're going to defer it to the next sprint. So this is the way you should say it. So you should know what you're doing and what's daily task being done. So hopefully next time when you try to tell about yourself, try to organize that in your thought and present it in order. So that's the way it'll be much better hearing and also much better kind of presenting. Do you understand, Brother Zakir? Brother Zakir, can you hear me? Hello? Who just joined? So Brother Zakir, can you hear me? Okay, we're gonna move on to the next person. Is brother Shajiv? Can you hear me?
Sorry, brother. I did not give you the answer for that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, right now I hear you.
Okay. How about brother Shajiv, brother sister Nazma, brother Azad? Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
brother
I'm
Masud.
hearing you.
Okay.
You're hearing you.
Great. Brother Shajiv. Okay. Sister Nazma, please go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What have you been doing on your last project for um, ever since you've been started working on the last project and what you're doing currently?
Thank
About 2-3
you for
minutes.
giving me these opportunities. This is Nazma. I have over 6 years of experience in the software testing and quality assurance. I am expert in manual as well as automation testing of web-based and client-server application. I work with different operating systems such as Microsoft Windows, Mac, Unix, Linux. As a software test engineer, I was involved in all stages of software development lifecycle in multiple projects of different companies. I am previously worked with and I have good understanding of the development process such as waterfall and agile methodology. I work as a software development and developer. I have depth knowledge of programming with J2EE, JAC, RDBMS, and SQL. I am expert in working with Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, JUnit, Maven, Cucumber, Jenkins, cloud testing, such as SASLab, and Browser Stack. And I am also generating various types of test report. I have extensive experience in smoke testing, integration testing, regression testing, negative testing, positive testing, boundary testing, database user acceptance testing, system testing, GUI testing, and end-to-end testing. I have in-depth knowledge of SQL and SQL+. I am expert in creating documents like test plan, test case, test script, test scenario, requirement assessment report, test analysis report, meeting minutes, postmortem report, user manuals report. I have good experience in working with waterfall and agile methodology. My educational background is Bachelor's of Science. I have ability to work with minimum documentation and minimum supervision. I have worked in different software environment and can easily fit into new environment. I have ability to work independently and use judgment with minimum amount of supervision. I am able to effectively manage multiple assignments simultaneously. I am well experienced in working with people from different backgrounds, providing excellent teamwork, and determined to become a maximum productive person for the company. In my previous project, I had learned about the application by reading documentation, use cases, design document, design mockup, and business rules. In my last project with company Wells Fargo, I was involved in requirement assessment based on the module. Is the requirement specific, explicit, and detailed? Is the requirement consistent with other requirements? Is the requirement factually correct? Is the requirement objectively testable? Is the requirement testable in valuable test environment? Does the requirement define all differences in the requirement complete? Does the requirement specify an exception condition? A good requirement should be clear, complete, detailed, cohesive, testable, and agreed to by all players. That's all what I did my previous project. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for your introduction and telling me about yourself, what you have been doing. So you were mentioning something about the requirement consistency. So when you said if the requirement is consistent with the other requirements, can you tell me a little bit about it? What are the other requirements that you're talking about, and what is consistency you're talking about?
Like when I write down the requirements based on the scenario and use case.
So you write down the requirements?
Yeah, sometimes I write down the requirements.
How do you write down the requirements? What, based on what?
It's like based on the use cases and SRD and yeah, business requirement reporting.
Okay, so as a asset engineer, you do participate in requirement writing?
Actually, I don't have clear knowledge about that, brother.
Right. So what you need to do, sister, what like I mentioned again and again in last session, that anything you say, like one can lead another to go out of your way, and then you're gonna be trapped. So when you say that you're writing requirement based on the requirement consistency means that what the previous requirement has given, or which matches the
new requirement.
Right, matches the new requirement, or consistency. There's a consistency.
Okay.
So those.
Or we
like
can say. Oh, go ahead.
When you say consistency, it has to be consistent with the other requirements for the other modules and other area of the application. So if there's something is a different, that a business rule, a general business rule is applied already to the system, and the new requirement changing for this particular module, then it's not a good requirement, or this raises up a question. Okay. So if for example, if there's an inventory control system, or like banking, you mentioned the banking application that you're working on. So if there's a requirement that a manager can log in and access all accounts, it's a general business rule. So that's throughout the entire application. Now you got a new requirement for the manager to add to a different role, and that manager should not have access to the other accounts or anything. So that particular module that you're working on for the manager's role, now since they're changing it just for the manager, and that particular manager, maybe manager of loan or banking side, now that raises a question, because it's not consistent with the previous the requirement that generic requirement that is general rules, the requirement that was placed for the application. Then it raises a question, if they're changing on this one, that's going to raise up a flag, then this manager would not be able to access, which is a prior requirement, is override this rule. So that is not consistent. So this is where you're going to raise the question and ask the question, hey, this is the general business rule on a previous requirement, and now we're getting this requirement, And is this really what they wanted to implement, or do you need to bring it back to the customer and discuss about it? So this is going to be inconsistency, and this is how you
I'm
say.
going to
And
explain.
also, right. And also, sister, when I noticed one thing, that your pausing looks like that you're reading off of the document. That's what kind of like it feels like. Although I cannot see it, but I can feel it from here. So even though same thing would some other person would feel. So when you're doing a phone interview, if you pause and telling, reading off of it, so there's a pause. It's different than when you're saying out of your mind, out of your memory, like as a story. So you need to overcome with that. Whatever you have written down on a piece of paper, organize your thought in your head. It don't have to be sequentially, step by step. You can say things and maybe in a different order in that case, but whatever you say, it has to be organized.
Okay.
So try not to use the document when you're saying it. Read it, try to memorize the content of it, but when you're presenting it, it don't have to be word for word, don't have to be step by step. So remember that, okay?
Okay.
So okay, I'll move on to the next person, brother Shabib here.
Sorry, brother. I am also working today. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Go ahead. No
problem.
problem.
If you're busy, that's fine. I can have brother.
No, it's okay. But today I do deliver, so that's why some of the time I am busy. Some of the time I am.
Okay,
free.
that's
No,
fine.
no,
If
no, it's okay.
If you're free
No, okay,
now,
no problem.
if you can go ahead, tell me about 2-3 minutes about yourself, the current project you're doing, and just tell me in a brief. You don't have to go out in the details. Organize your thought in your head and tell me about what you're doing on a current project and what you have done, in your previous experience, for last few years.
Okay. Okay. No, thank you. Thank you for asking. So, I have been working. Almost 5 years as a QA tester. So during last 5 years, I have been working in Avalon. Actually my primary responsibility was doing automations as well as manual. So before automate the test case, I must have to do manual testing, creating test case, creating test case, test preparation. Also, I have to attend in the review meeting, workshop meeting for final review. Those things also I have done. So basically, in my project, we are working on Selenium WebDriver with some customized hybrid framework like TDD for TestNG. Also, we work keyword and data-driven framework also, as well as also we do work Git and Jenkins in our Selenium driver. So day-to-day activities, actually mainly we have to work in our framework for finding the element and creating test scripts based on our requirement. So also besides, I have to do also backend testing in backside. So that's all about I am doing in my current project. Hello.
Thank you very much, Brother Sharif. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, Brother Sharif. I heard that you've been using the Selenium, and so what language you guys are using on Selenium? What?
Actually, our framework that is Java-based language. So yeah. They are using our platform is Java-based language, so we are using Java.
Okay.
Also,
so yeah. you do have knowledge about the Java, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So what is the difference between JDK and JRE and JVM?
JDK is Java Development Kit, so that is also Java tools for Sdet is one kind of tools, and JVM is our virtual machine. Virtual machine basically is a convert or compile source code to bytecode or assemble machine code, and there is our runtime environment integrate. So yeah.
So I want to hear that what do you use the JDK for? What do you use JRE for? And when do you use JVM?
Actually, that is not using. That is backside. That is not we are using. That is backside scenario. So Java platform basically it integrated with JVM machines or the Java virtual machines. So in the Java virtual machine, they have back inside it have Java runtime integration also. So yeah, we are working with the Java environment. So that is the backing scenario. JVM like Java virtual machine is just convert the source code to bytecode. So because as a human being we cannot see bytecode. So as a human being we just say our regular base code, whatever we are doing, our daily to daily activities. So source code we can see, able to see. So JVM does works convert or compile. A compiler just convert source code to bytecode. So JVM it does.
Okay, great, thank you. And how many types of memory are there allocated by JVM?
There is some sort of memory like I forget that.
Okay. Oh, there are 5 types. So please make sure that what Brother Alom sent out that questionnaire. Try to question and answer. Look into those, and those kind of questions you might get into. So whenever the Java question is going to be, there's a lot of questions going to be. I'm telling you guys from my own experience.
Yeah, I did not go through the Java question yesterday. Alam asked me from the Java, so I told next week I will prepare for Java. Right now, actually, Java is very critical thing. So some of the question is very difficult to understand. So yeah, I need some couple days for learning those things. So right now, actually, I look up only Selenium and other things. Yeah, after that, yeah,
right
I will
now,
go definitely.
I understand that, but yeah, I know that everybody's busy working, and we also have to earn things, so that's understandable. But the time that you're going to spend, basically what I'm telling from the experience that I've seen and I've been experiencing now, that when they're interviewing a candidate, mostly they go ask what language do they implement the Selenium on. So if they're Java, they ask more question on Java, and they would ask, like if it's a Python, they would ask Python questions. So this is important that although you may not use a whole lot of Java rules or others in there, but we still need to go through these questions because in our team that we have also Selenium, the Sdet engineer, which is time to time he speaks and tells about that what are the interviewee go through, and when they try to ask them questions, and so they share with us, and we know that different projects have a different lead. They also share with us that when they call, what they basically call and ask for. So make sure that these are the questions that you need to go through and try to understand, memorize those, and
sure, definitely I will go through.
Yeah, understand. And thank you for joining this morning. Actually, Brother Azad's session, it was really empowering him. So a lot of students joined, and that was a great presentation. That is, everybody needs to learn, and all of you need to schedule your time slot to present yourself. As I said, that we are all learning, and you're not going to be perfect, and do not even think that you're perfect. Whatever your understanding level, you present it. So based on your understanding level, you explain things, and if there is something that's not right, then we need to make sure that we get it right before we go out in the market and try to get a job. So yeah, please
Sure. Yeah.
fill out slots, and thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to move on to Azad Bhai. If you are there, you're listening. Azad Bhai.
Yes, brother Murshid.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, brother Azad. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Azad Bhai, first of all, thank you for your great presentation, and that is always very helpful for the others and also encouragement for the others. So everyone knows that everybody, all students need to go through this kind of presentation and do it for themselves so they will be better prepared. So that kind of tells that how well you presented, and also indicates them to make sure that they are preparing on their materials and on their task, whatever they're learning so far, to present. So basically, also sharing your live experience with them, kind of giving them idea of what they're going to be dealing with and stuff like this, so they're going to prepare them more. And those questions that you send out, and definitely those are also would be helpful, because most of the time interview questions are more on current job based questions. So basically they got to address those questions and answers. So definitely if environment to environment, project to project, it varies, it changes, it different, but you have to come up with the answers of if that does not match with the question, then you should be telling, okay, this is what's been implemented, what's been done. So thank you for doing that, and please continue to do that. Okay.
Sure, thank you. Thank you giving me opportunity.
Sure, absolutely. With that said, I'll go ahead and ask you the same question that I have asked everyone. Is tell me about yourself with a few minutes describing of what you have done as a Sdet engineer on your last project, or what you've been doing in a current project as a Sdet engineer.
Sure. I may go a little bit shorter today, because I'm kind of getting tired since morning.
Sure, I know. It was a long speech.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce myself. My name is Abdus Azad. I have 10 plus years of experience in IT as a software QA analyst, and with the manual as well as that automation testing, including gathering that requirements, project planning, manual and automated test scripting, implementing, developing test strategies, and doing the test strategy, test plan, test cases, and execution the test cases, and debugging, and defect reporting using Jira as of current project, with the client server application in multiple technologies, with such as telecommunication, healthcare, education, finance, and enterprise system in Agile DevOps architecture. As a software test engineer, I was involved in the deeper understanding all stages of the SDLC and STLC process for multiple projects that I've been worked previously. As a part of my job, I was involved gathering that all the requirement, planning that project, writing manual and automated test scripting, implementing and developing test strategies, execute the test cases for various test type of such as system testing, security testing, functional testing, GUI testing, progression and regression testing, black box and white box testing, integration testing, end-to-end testing, um, user interface testing, negative, positive testing, data masking testing, uh, encrypted and decrypted for access validation testings, SQL query against Oracle database, also data Swift testing with using a Unix and Linux platform for backend data validation, debugging, and defect reporting in Jira. Since last 4 years, I am very much involved into the following activities for automation testing, such as design and develop that automated test case using a Selenium automation tools, which is that open source, test engine, Eclipse ID, and IntelliJ ID. Develop and generate that automated script um, with the Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, Maven, Jenkins for regression suite in the various releases. Also involve design to implement Selenium WebDriver automation framework from scratch for functional regression test suite using Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, Maven, Java, Jenkins, Cucumbers, Eclipse, IntelliJ um, as well. Also, work and distributed test automation execution a different environment as a part of that continuous integration process using a Jenkins and Bamboo. Additional software I was having experience on that. It's called REST API with the Postman, REST Assure, and SOAP UI for especially web service application to test. And uh, we are having also very closely work with that developer to review that and modify the product. It's a specific using agile testing methodology, attending daily stand-up call and getting a status from the related project which is on the pipeline, and also attending on the weekly meetings, weekly status, upper management call to get synchronized all the relevant testing project, whatever is come up, whatever delivery, whatever status is come up. Also, I have some team that in offshore that I've been monitoring that early morning when I'm getting into the office, as well as the evening that I've been sending that report to them to perform their specific task for their scheduled time. Among with that, I have also the end-to-end team that I've been involved very much to get the integrated testing, and I most of the time as a SME, I've been involved in the end-to-end test as well. There is a separate group as well, but I am also part of that group, and I've been working on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Azad. You guys are using the agile method, agile model on your current project. So, do you attend sprint review meetings, or you don't have to get involved in it?
Yes, absolutely. I have to involve there in spring meeting. I am as a team lead, and I am involving most spring meetings. Sometime I involve with my team as well, wherever is necessary, or if they are very much busy, I'm gathering all information from the Scrum meeting and share with them.
Okay. Now, would you tell me how many team members in your team automation tester?
2 is automation tester, and 3 of us it's the manual tester. So total it's a five.
Okay, so when you say three of us, do you mean yourself? Do you do manual or automation?
Three additional. Three additional.
Three additional. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I misheard you. So three additional testers, and you and other person is the automation. Okay, then you're
Yeah.
the automation lead, so you must have knowledge in the other person, sharing the knowledge with the other person daily basis. So I would like to ask you, what do you guys like when you use the Selenium WebDriver? You said, what is the minimum requirement? Like you said, if I heard it right, that you said you developed the framework from the scratch. So in order for you to develop a Selenium framework, what are the minimum dependency you need for Selenium framework?
Let me give you some of the steps. That first we need to have that the application that's being able to test it, which is it's a prerequisite for it must be viable.
No, I understand that for the application part of it. I'm talking about the Selenium side of it. Like I'm asking that to build a framework, what's the minimum dependency you need for the Selenium?
Oh, in the Maven we are preparing with page object model preparing with the Maven dependencies project, and in the Maven there are dependencies most require it's Java server, Selenium dependencies, Selenium Java dependencies, and test engine dependencies. These three are minimum requirement to start initiated the test script.
Okay. Thank you for your
Sure.
clarification. I'd like to make a comment on that, brother. That's very good, nicely organized thought. But when you mentioned the offshore and onshore, just don't go on detail of what time you go in and do check. Or you can do, I manage a team offshore that daily basis I communicate with them with our updates and activities that need to be done by the team or whatever they have not completed, that we do follow up on that and make sure that we do bring it to our end to complete the task. So like, not to tell in details, I check in the morning or in the afternoon and stuff like that. So in the daily basis, like kind of leaving it like, okay, I do manage the team offshore, communicate with them, what's the daily status of what they have completed, and if there's anything that needed to be completed for us. So they do after hour work and we do during the daytime, and we pull that into our team and complete. So this kind of way that you say, like it makes more clear understanding for the people that was there. Like if I'm listening, I don't want to know the details of what you do and stuff. Like if you're managing it, somewhere managing it, you know how you manage, right? So then if I ask you the question, how do you communicate? How do you manage and what time? Then you go on the details, because keep it short and simple. Just give what the summarized speech, like basically in the details. Like when I ask you the question that I heard that you did develop the scratch, the framework, Selenium framework from the scratch. So now that I'm asking dependency, then you tell me the details. Okay, I need IDE, I need a JDK, which is like a Java development kit, and also Selenium standalone server or Selenium JRE. So how you implement it, this is what you tell. So at this minimum requirement, these three needed, and everything else also you can add more dependencies on it to make your test look better, result better, or the anything you can integrate or dependency you can add to your Selenium framework to do different things like Apache Koi for data-driven testing. Like you can read Excel files, read data off the Excel files in Apache Koi. Maven you're using for some kind of versioning control, like a Maven repository. Basically, you can deploy the code in Maven repository, so that keeps the version intact. So anytime that you are merging the code in and all code same, so you don't have a different version of the code that are floating around, or when you're running, try to run, and it just gives error because of a different version. So those kind of things you can tell. You can minimum at least 3 needed, these 3, and then additionally you can add those to kind of overcome those kind of obstacles or the issues. So where you say it, like, so then it makes more sense to the listener. Okay, this guy, he knows it, right? So when you try to say it, like, organize your thoughts and say it, like, what minimum things that you need, and additionally you can add more dependencies such as this, Apache Poi, Maven, and TestNG, and other things that you can do. Also, reporting purposes, you can use a constant report. So those kind of stuff you can add. But at least minimum those 3 requirements, like at least for the Java coding, those things will be kind of neat and organized. So you're there. You brother Shajiv, are pretty much the polished. You guys need to tweak a little bit on your speech and try not to give a whole lot of details to them. Leave some room there so they can come back with a question, and then you can give a detail. So that's much better. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Inshallah, brother Moshad, maybe I hope so within 1 week I'll be ready to go market. So yeah,
inshallah,
because I take,
if you guys put the time, and I see that you, brother Azad, and other brothers also are coming along, but they're kind of behind. This is like an honest the comments. The reason they're making these comments, I don't want to just tell everyone is doing good, then later on it's not good. But we want to make sure that everybody is going to the market, is ready for, and is understanding what they're saying, is understanding, how to say it, and whatever you say it, make sure you have answer ready for it, like any questions come your way.
So actually last 1 month I did not practice for any code. So that's why I was a little bit behind, because I just focused my interview. So this week I take only for time for Java and for making the script. I will automate on applications, for web applications, all of things, creating test case and test steps. Yeah, maybe within 1 week I will be ready. So after that, yeah, I can able to face for a mock-up interview.
Inshallah, yeah. As soon as you guys are, we think you guys are ready, we're gonna go for a mock-up interview, and also we'll do face-to-face interviews and stuff like that. And definitely, follow.
Main thing, I actually 1 week is enough, because I have all of the notes before. I already practiced all of the script already. I have, so right now I don't need a lot of time for practicing purpose. Just I go through one time, so that time I automatically recall actually what I did before. So a long time I didn't practice, so that's why I forget a lot of things. So right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, inshallah, just put some time into it and try to understand what you do, whatever you're learning, that this is what you basically tell. Like, if you tell me how do you do section 508 testing, how do you do load and performance testing, this is my expertise, and how do you do the other testing. So I can tell basically off of my head, like, this is what I do, this is what you need to do. And so this is how you tell. Like, if somebody asks you about the Selenium, like, okay, what do you do for Selenium? How you do the framework from the scratch? Like, currently we don't have any automation expert in our team. We want somebody with a expert like you come in the team and set up everything. How would you do that? So you tell minimum these things is needed, but in order for us to enhance the better framework, so we can add additionally these, that kind of suggestion, or we can use this, that. So then you can also say, I have to analyze the environment and see what would be the best fit for the environment need. You cannot just, you can tell, well, like, for example, Cucumber framework is with a Gherkin language, and this is pretty much plain English translated to Gherkin. So when can you implement that framework? That framework actually can be implemented like at the beginning of the project, or when they do, and also that business analyst has to be trained on how to write the user stories. So when they write the user stories, basically writing on the Gherkin, like a plain English language way that Gherkin language will translate into the code that you can utilize it. So those are the things that in the middle of a project, they're halfway done, or maybe they have been doing it for, then those are the stuff that you have to come up with which framework would be more beneficial for the project. Like the current project that I'm working on, you know, they have tried to implement Gherkin, Cucumber framework. So the project has been gone like the long way, and they tried. So when they hired the automation asset lead, and he suggested that, well, he analyzed the entire environment and suggested that, okay, best would be TestNG framework is a better than going to Cucumber framework, because the Cucumber framework that it is a new learning curve for everyone, even though including business analysts, so they would not be easy task to implement it. But if they wanted to spend time and would like to implement that way, then it will take time. So then they went ahead with testing the framework. So this is something that, you know, you tell as an expert, you tell them, okay, based on the environment that I have to analyze it, and depending on what other dependencies can be added to kind of make the framework better and much like easy for the coding and maintaining the codes and stuff like that. So you do the analysis on it. So this is the, like, you're telling from an expert point, like, you did it, you guys did it. So right now that you guys went through the entire course, you should have more knowledge on asset than myself, right? Because I'm not an asset tester. I have worked with the EFT, I have worked with Load Runner, I have worked with other tools, Load Runner Performance Center, and also I have been doing the Section 508 testing. So those are my expertise in that side. So the Java Selenium is not my expertise, but you guys should know better than me. But at least by listening you, putting that thought together, that I can explain things better, because although I didn't do it, but you guys did it, so you should be knowing it better and telling it better than me. So make sure that, you know, those are the things that you think in your head, okay, what this tool does, what does this dependency do on the project, what kind of benefit I'll get from introducing this dependency to the project. So you tell that, okay, this is how you build from the scratch. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you guys are doing good. Sister Nazma need to polish, do that, and Brother Zakir definitely he needs to attend more of the sessions and work hard at it. I know that, you know, everybody is working, guys, and support the family. I understand that, because we did the same thing, that when we tried to get into IT field back then, and there was like barely any help we got. I mean, whatever help you guys are getting, like a weekend, weekdays, and alhamdulillah that Allah has given us the ability to provide that support. I mean, I look at myself that if I had gotten that support back then, we probably would have been experts back then, right? You know, so everything, you know, we had to kind of taught ourselves basically by being in that field and learn from daily basis, and we were aggressively putting ourselves in learning, like just like you guys are doing right now. So put a little bit more effort to it, and inshallah, you guys should be able to manage it. It's nothing but what you know, you tell it wisely, and kind of organized way. If you tell it the organized way, because you always have to answer for it if there's any question come on your way. So if you go out of your boundary, if you go out of your way, telling things like what you haven't done, what you have no knowledge of, then you're going to be trapped. Basically, you would not be able to overcome from that situation. So limit yourself to what you have learned, and what you have not learned, what you don't have knowledge of. Try not to say it, because you're going to be marketed. You're going to be marketed for asset engineer. So what is the asset engineer day to day basis?
One thing actually, my current project I did not mention I have any experience on web service testing for Superior or REST assured. But previous project I just make some history for web service API testing. So what do you think? Because I don't have that much idea for that.
Right. Let me tell you what you have done. But if you do not have idea, if it's on your resume, if it's given to your resume should be prepared soon. If it's on your resume, if you think that this is something that you haven't done, you have no knowledge of, that if you think that you need to keep it on the resume, we'll make sure that you are aware of it and you know about it and you can tell about it. And if we think that we need to remove it, we'll remove it. So what you need to do is, like, basically what I would say, like, if I'm interviewing, right, I would start up with my current status or the current position that I'm holding, what I do currently. And then I would say, also, I have done previously on my previous project, this, that, so I'll start off with my position and what I'm interviewed for. Like, if I'm interviewed for a Java asset engineer, I would say that I've been working as a Java asset engineer as well as manual and automation testing experience I have for that many years. So my current project, this is what I do. I do Selenium framework. I started when I joined the team. There was not any framework in place. There wasn't any automation. I took initiative of building the framework. This is what I used for a current project. And, additionally, we have other team members join as automation engineers, and currently I'm leading the team and directing them and following the development process of the script. So everybody is unified and developing following the same process of developing the script. Like those kind of stuff you tell. So you tell kind of, you're just highlighting yourself in the way that you're the key person. So that would attract them more. Hey, this is a person that we're looking for. So, but you have done these stuff in a class, right? So basically, you're telling what you have done. So you tell, and then you go back and say, additionally, also I have done in my previous project. These are the testing I have done, and these are the tools I have used. That if you use any of those, if you know about it, so that is like putting on a behind. So mostly everybody asks questions based on your current experience, what you have done currently. So you're currently going as asset, and they're going to be interviewing you as asset engineer. Then this is what you highlight most, and that would be more helpful to focus on your Selenium part, Java part, anything related to that, and then you can tell the other stuff that what you've been doing. So first, highlight your present task or the current responsibility that you're doing, what you've been doing, and then go to the previous project that you have done. So that will be more organized way. Is that
yeah?
Does it make sense to? Yeah. This is the way. So it's like most of the time. I do get phone calls every day from recruiters. Like like I was in the market like last October, like September. I know that my project that I would not be staying on with that project. Project I put them down and said I'm not going to accept what they're offering me. So I went ahead and moved on and went to the market. So my resume, they found it probably, and still up until now, it's every day I got about 5 to 7, some days 10 emails, phone calls, and also from Monster everyday emails on email that I get a delayed offer, opening here, opening there, and do that. So when they ask me, sometimes I do put some time on it to see what they're looking for and what the demand in the market, right? So I face interview with like recruiter. They will be asking questions and stuff like that. Can you tell me about yourself, what you're doing? So I tell them basically this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm expert at, and this is what I have been doing in my current project, and I've done previously also the other tasks such as this, that. So this is how I organize it. So when they go for the negotiation, try to price negotiation, I can probably negotiate, like, those are recruiting companies, like, they're trying to do. So when they try to offer me, I just, put myself in a higher range and see what they had to say. And in fact, funny thing is, like, I joined this job at the current project, and I do not have any intention to move anywhere else, like, at this moment. But I got an offer from Greenbelt, Maryland, for that was for I think I forgot the name of the government department, but Greenbelt, Maryland, anyway. So they were like asking me, call me, and they tried to, right after the giving introduction or telling about myself, the recruiter was trying to make an offer to me, like, Murshid, what would it take, for you to join the team? So I just, draw a number, just a random number, high number. And believe me, the recruiter came back right away, said, Murshid, we can do like a 10,000 less. This is what maximum we can do. And I cannot believe they offered that much. I mean, it is a Greenbelt, Maryland. I mean, I would not go there even though they pay me twice much of that, because commute is worth. But at least what I'm saying is, like, if they're satisfied, they will make the decision right away on the spot. Basically, even if it's not on the spot, when you get out, you will get the phone call from someone that's saying that, hey, they're interested in you. Then can you face up another interview, or I'll let you know, blah, 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 this and that. So you got to present yourself that you got to win the battle. You got to win the interview. You got to win any kind of phone calls, and make sure what you're telling them that you know about these, and you can explain it if they ask any other follow-up question. So
yeah, I got it. So actually, our main problem with Azad Bhai, but Zakir Bhai, me, and Nazma and Khole and Mahbub and other guys. So everybody have one problem, that is whatever we understand, we cannot speak very well in Bengali, in English.
No,
that is the main problem.
no, Brother Sajid, no. This is totally wrong. Believe me, that is totally wrong. You might have struggle expressing it, but organizing and telling, now the what you have done, telling that it should not block you because of your English or communication skills. No. Because
so what do you think, as per our communication skill, last couple
months,
have you seen
that is fine and totally understandable. I know that some of the pronunciation different. That is totally fine. I don't care about the pronunciation. I'm looking for the person that can do the job. That I know, the knowledgeable person. I mean, that person is not going to write me an email, not going to write me a speech for me, right? And I'm not going to give a speech. You can give a speech, yes. You have to present sometimes, time to time. You have to explain things. Maybe, we have developers from India. Our project program manager, last time she made a comment talking to other developer or other person next to my team. I was standing there in a group. She's saying that person, what he speaks, I don't understand anything. But he is been doing his job. So it's not that, how a lot of times, you be explaining things, but as long as you know what you're doing and try to deliver that, they would understand. They would understand. But if there's a person that don't have no knowledge about anything about how to develop a framework, how to utilize Selenium and stuff like that, if you don't have the knowledge about anything, they may, you know, buy anything from you. But remember that, you know, they can always Google and find out the stuff. What is you're answering? They're going to match those papers that you're answering if it's correct, if it makes sense. So try to deliver what on your topic, what you understand.
Hi, ma'am.
And on that.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
So yeah, this is basically you do, and also always try to understand the question. When somebody asks you a question, try to understand what they are trying to get out of this question. What you should so if just when they ask you a question, pause for a second, and if you do not understand, just nicely tell them, can you please repeat the question again? Then when they repeat the question, make sure that you understand well, then you start talking. But if you start talking, if they're asking what is your name, and if you start telling the name of your father, then this is you didn't understand anything, right? So this is how it should be. Basically, like when they ask you for specific task, answer the question on that task. Sister Nazma.
Yes, brother.
Okay.
Yes.
What you have written on your document, right? Can you just follow the resume that Brother Alam provided, the generic resume for everyone? Can you just follow that format and see what is on there and try to capture the content from that resume and practice on it and highlight yourself, like take a pen or pencil, or maybe take it to you can do on a soft copy, also highlight with a highlighter those words that you don't understand, and those whatever written on the resume that if you don't understand, if you have any questions, go through it and try to process in your head how to give a introduction to yourself and
Okay.
how to
Are you
tell
talking about brother resume, right?
yeah, the
Like,
resume that Brother Alam gave
generic resume.
Yes, generic resume, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So from that, put those things in, because but when you say it, you always say manual first and then automation, because you got to remember that you're going for the automation, like as an asset. So you're going to be interviewed and called for asset. Because manual testing, I don't see any manual testing opening in a market very much. So even though they know it, the companies are smart nowadays, because they know that automation testers are capable to do manual testing. Because without the manual testing, automation testers cannot automate anything. So they need to know, they have to know the manual testing, how to write the test cases, how to convert those test cases to automation. Like one thing that you need to understand, that when you write a test case and execute those test cases, during that time, actually as a asset engineer, when you're trying to develop your automation script based off of test case, you're actually doing it manually. So you're manually testing it. So, as you are executing the step-by-step, you're trying to capture those codes, right? Like ID, name or ID or XPath or other tags that you're trying to capture in your ID. So you're basically going through the steps, one step by another, one step after another step. That's what you're going by. So you kind of say it straight that, I'm working at my current position or current job. I'm working as a automation asset engineer, and also my previous experience with the other manual tasks of these that, and time to time I also help do manual testing. As we automate our scripts, we have to run the manual test cases to execute and capture all the HTML tags such as name or ID. So at that time we're performing manual testing, and when we're done, our automated test suite is built together for our regression testing. So like you tell this is how you do, right? So
Yeah.
Look at the resume, review the resume, go through it, and see I think the very top one would be the current position you're holding. Yeah, the current project that you're holding it, and basically on the very top one, whatever it is on there, try to present that first, and then rest of it comes in a play, like saying that also I have a previously have done this, or previously was involved on my previous project, I was involved on this, that, and that. So this is what you say. Like when you're earlier, when you were saying that, and I was asking that you're writing a requirement, we don't write requirement. Requirement comes from the business analyst or the team lead or somebody else, because they're the ones responsible of writing the requirement, and requirement comes to us, and the requirement comes in a box pieces, and then breaking it down to stories. When you're breaking down the stories, at that time you're analyzing the stories, make sure they're testable. The acceptance criteria is testable, or acceptance criteria makes sense. As a team, you're doing the sprint review or during the grooming session. When you're grooming the stories, like basically you go out, those are pre-written stories. You go and sit there, and they read off of the description, and then acceptance criteria. You look at the description, what it says, and does it really give you the output of what is acceptance criteria? You look at that, and if it makes sense, you go ahead and point it. If it doesn't make sense, you're saying that defer it and go back to the requirement and write it, wisely, which makes sense and which is testable. So your involvement would be on the grooming session, sprint review, sprint planning, and also for retrospective. So retrospective, at the end of the sprint, there's a meeting held called retrospective. Retrospective. What you have learned from the previous project, what you have done well, what you need to improve on. So everybody make a suggestion. Based on that, we stay focused. So this is the process we follow. And like if you use tool for the bug reporting, and this is how you report, when you find a bug, you just, automatically, because your tool have capability, you have taken a screenshot and you attach this screenshot to a Jira ticket for a developer and assign it to the developer who have worked on the story or the project, or you discuss with a team lead based on the priority and severity, whether need to be fixed, and then this is what you do, the day-to-day task. You attend a daily Scrum meeting. We have 2 weeks the sprint, so daily basis we gather at a certain time for the Scrum meeting, and we provide our updates for daily. Any of the blockers, we also address those in that meeting, and it has been taken care. So the purpose of the Scrum meeting or the daily stand-up, what we call, some call daily stand-up or some call daily Scrum, purpose of it that makes sure that there is no blockage to meet the goal, meet the deadline for 2 weeks. So if there's any of the blockage that need to be addressed on a daily Scrum, and then it needs to get resolved. So the Scrum Master, from there, they take it to the proper authority or proper group to resolve those kind of issues, or the team lead or whoever proxying as a Scrum Master. Scrum Master can be one of the tester too. Tester can be a Scrum Master. The Scrum Master does not have a separate position. It is a position, can be integrated with tester. It can be integrated with business analyst. It can be integrated with a project manager or anybody. Scrum Master is a person, is a mediator, the person that take the message or communication across the different groups and try to solve issues and troubleshoot issues and get the team going. So those kind of stuff, this is how you describe, and that would be more effective and more attractive to the interviewer.
All right.
Yeah. So, Brother Azhar, Brother Shajib, does it make sense? Kind of what I have said, and do you have a clear understanding?
Yes, absolutely.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the way. I mean, keep it the way, and you guys are almost there, but you need to polish it a little bit the way say things. So definitely, inshallah, and we should be able to. We should be ready for the market soon. Please look at those documents that been sent out to you. All the questions. Try to understand those questions. If you have any question on those questions and answers, don't understand it, please post it. Brother Alam would answer, or if we have knowledge of answering it, I will do answer. But as I said, like, you guys should have more knowledge than me in this field, basically, Sdet field, Java Sdet field. So yeah, that's basically it. I would say continue practice at home in front of the mirror, or record yourself on your phone, like make a couple of minutes of speech and see how you are saying it. See when you listen it, does it make sense what you're saying it? First, you ask a question as a interviewer, and then answer to that question. Like you can say, tell your name, say Mr. Shajib or Mr. Nizam. Can you please give me an introduction of 2 minutes about yourself, what you're doing in a current project? Then you, as a recruiter, then you pause and act as you and record it and listen to it. When you record and listen to it, just go through, analyze it, and see if it makes sense what you have said on the introduction. So if it does make sense, that means yes, you are there. If it doesn't make sense, then you have to modify, and the way you should say it, you need to work on it. And that's the best way you could do for yourself. Like also listen to this recording that when you like when we record the session and share with you, listen to those recordings about when your speech comes, and you listen to yourself. See what question was asked to you and what you have answered, how you answered, and if you think that this is not the way, that this is the better way would be answered. So you come up with a better way of answering it. Put your thoughts in order how to answer those questions. That's definitely would help. Okay, I can ask you all some of the questions from like a Java. I have the questionnaire. I mean, I'm not expert in Java, but I do have question and answer with me, so I can go ahead probably ask a few questions. See if you guys have. Okay, for any of you, what is constructor? Anybody, one person, whoever wants to volunteer answering that. What is constructor?
Constructor is like one kind of function, like method. So, but constructor, we have to initiate object. In the method, we don't need to initiate the object. So, constructor also name and should be a class name. Okay. Also, yeah.
Okay. So the answer that I have in front of me, which is saying constructor is like a method, which is, you are right. But when it's a function, actually in Java they don't call it a function. These are the class constructors, and those functions I think have not been mentioned here. So construction is just like a method. So what is the method? Method is basically what the method you execute something, right?
A special method of
Yeah, the click could be a method, and syntax is a method. Like when you're right.
Yeah, whatever we're doing, I am going, I am eating, I am sleeping. So whatever we are doing,
right.
So that is called method. Yeah.
Method, right.
So constructor is one kind of expression method of the Java. So constructor name and constructor class name should be same, and constructor also in the object in our method. So we don't need to the create parameter in the argument, but in the constructor we need to make parameter in the argument.
Yeah, so those kind of understanding that HL, when he can explain it, and like if somebody asking a question from that background, when you understand that, when you explain it and this is how it is, then they would say, okay, that person knows about it, and that might be, and then they will move on to maybe Selenium questions. But the Java question, most of the time, if you say you have done Selenium, they would say, what language did you use for Selenium, and how many different languages that can be used by what language did you use in Java? I mean, the Selenium. So Selenium supports different languages. Selenium WebDriver. So you can say specifically, I have experience in with the Java, but if there's a need for, we can always implement on different languages, and it is not hard to learn. Since I know the Java, I should be able to handle that. So even if they take you as a Selenium, but they said they're looking for somebody with a Python or somebody with Ruby or other language, then you can always say it. Since you know the Java, that it would be easier for you to implement it, and you can implement it. Although you haven't implemented the other language, but you can always say, it's always can be implemented because I have the experience on this language. So does constructor return any value?
Yeah, constructor return. Constructor return doesn't return the value, but method return the value.
Okay. All right. The answer says yes. That is current instance. If it is a current instance, that it returns a value, so it says yes. Does constructor returns any value? The answer says yes. That is current instance. Okay. So what is the static variables?
What was the question?
What is static variable?
Static variable.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Do you know what is static and what is dynamic?
Yeah, I know. I already did static variable, static method, static block. Already I go through all of this, but I forget exactly what. Yeah, static means.
Can you just give me
static means dynamic means frequently it will be changed. Static don't be changed. Oh, will not change.
Static means like it's steady, it doesn't change, and the dynamic changes. So static variables. Yeah. So what is static variable? So basically, static variable is used to refer the common property of all objects. So that doesn't change. So the common property of all objects is static. That doesn't change. The dynamic one would change to different objects, but the common one would stay the same. Okay. Sister Nazma, you are not answering any question. Brother Shadib is taking all advantage of the time. Brother Azad also. So you guys flag yourself, but put Brother Shadib down for a minute maybe, and answer the question. Okay. Let me ask you a few more questions. Can we execute a program without main method?
No, unless you are using a test-ng.
The answer which I'm looking at, I mean, I have no knowledge of it, so I'm just reading off the answer sheet is yes. One of the way is static block.
What is that? Can you repeat that? There is no way without main, no way to run that, to execute that block.
Okay, can you execute program without main method?
Execute program inside many method?
Without main method.
No, we cannot execute without main method. No way. Unless
Answer said yes. One of the way is static block. So if you use the static block, maybe you can execute without the main method. If you use the static block.
What is
okay, so it is the static block that time we can execute the main method without main method. Okay.
What is the static block? Static block is used to initialize a static data member. It is executed before main method at the time of the class loading. So the main method, before the main method, the static block is loaded. So you can use the static block without utilizing the main method. So you can execute program.
Yeah, brother Murshid, I don't know where you are reading that answer. As so far as we know that without main method, there is no way 100% run any.
I'm reading off the question answer that brother Alam sent to you guys.
Yeah. I don't know. Static block আছে না? স্ট্যাটিক ব্লকের আমি অনেকদিন আগে টিউটোরিয়াল দেখছিলাম, মনে হয় হ্যাঁ করা যায় মনে হয়, বুঝছেন?
But never covered by brother Alam.
না, এটা কেউ কভার করে নাই, বুঝছেন? এটা স্ট্যাটিক ব্লকের মাধ্যমে আপনি এক্সিকিউট করা যায়।
No, mark করে রাখেন, write down the question.
What is the number?
Brother, yeah. So there will be question number 19. Mark that question, and if brother Alam, when he joins the class, he'll show it to you and give you the way that you can do it. So
না, কিভাবে করবেন আমি বলি, আপনি মেন মেথড না দিয়ে স্ট্যাটিক ব্র্যাকেটের মধ্যে প্যারেন্থেসিস দিয়ে আপনার প্যারেন্থেসিস আসবে না, স্ট্যাটিক ব্লকে প্যারেন্থেসিস আসে না।
At the time of class using class loading. Actually, that the question is different. It's not like without main method we can execute the program. Is what is a static block? He's saying that the static block is used to initialize the static data member. It is executed before main method. Before main method.
So when I ask question, I ask number 20 first. Number 20, number 9. The number 20 was first question. Can we execute program? Because I did not ask question first.
Yes.
So
one of the ways.
So right. In order for you to know that, can you answer? So you have to know the what is static block. So that's why I asked the other question first.
Okay. So, this might be, it might be possible, but
if you're not covered, brother, if you're not even if you covered it, and if you're saying that, hey, can you go over again? Definitely, he will go over again and walk you through that. So please mark it down.
He did cover that without main method we cannot execute it. That is his cover. But without that, to run the program without main method, I doubt. I don't remember at my head.
Okay. So since the question has it, and question saying that it can be done, and it is saying that what is the static block, then since definitely he puts it in and he knows it, that please mark it down 19 and 20. Ask him the question when he joins, and he'll walk you guys through probably the details of it.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely.
আজাদ ভাই, আপনি ওই যে স্ট্যাটিক ব্লকের মধ্যে প্যারেন্থেসিস না দিয়ে সেকেন্ড ব্র্যাকেট দিয়ে সিস্টেমটা আউট অফ প্রিন্ট দিবেন আর ভেরিয়েবল ডিক্লেয়ার দিবেন, দেখেন কাজ করে কিনা।
Bracket or brace or the bracket? Bracket?
Curly brace, curly bracket দিতে হবে, curly brace দিতে হবে, curly brace, কিন্তু but there is no parenthesis. So in the curly brace, so just write down system.out print out and write down something, but on the top we have to declare some variable. In that way we can check out, but still I don't know if I go through the
there is no option coming to run as a Java.
Asana, huh?
No, it is not coming. Java application to run, it's disabled.
So
that's fine. Best just write it down and go through this question. I mean, the question that you have not know or don't know about it. He'll go through it. You guys read it and see what you know. Just mark them down. That this one you know, this one you know, and which one you don't know, he'll cover up definitely. Now I think the brother Alam will be covering 2 sessions during the week, right? So he will take more of a session on like more technical questions that you guys have for him, like on Java, Selenium, and those stuff. And we're going to be basically going through how you pose your presentation to front of the recruiters or the interviewers. So we're going to be covering that. And also, like when we're going through these questions, the reason said, I mean, you were given that, so go through it and see what you know. If you know these things, then it should come in your memory. So we're just kind of going over and over, kind of setting it up in your memory so you can, tell it that, this is how it's been done. So another question. Okay, does constructor return any value?
I don't think so.
No. Constructor doesn't return any value.
Okay, if you look at the question number 13, right? Answer says yes, that is current instance. So that's another question that you need to mark it down. You cannot use return type yet it returns
actually today I prepare for constructor method, so that time whatever I heard from the class, so constructor does not return any value, but method in the method the method return the value. So you're talking about regarding instance. So I don't know for instance actually, but there is so many things here. You need to practice a lot.
Right.
So yeah.
Right, definitely, mark those questions or anything, because I think I asked that question and you said like, so this is what it says. That if answer says this, then there has to be the way that it's returning value, or to kind of address those with Brother Alam when he joins.
So main thing is those kind of questions that is not memorizing. That is you need to practice and in the practice,
understanding. Yes, that's why these are the questions. The understanding, because the memorizing is not gonna work. Memorizing
understanding is the main thing. So
exactly.
What is constructor? What is method? Already Brother Alam, he already show us some of the things. Maybe he needs to cover according to our interview question and answer, because some of the question is very difficult to understand, because I don't want to memorize. I need to understand actually. Like
no. We don't want you to memorize anything. We want you to understand every question of it. That this is what it is, how it's been implemented. Can this do that? Can this do this? So this is what you need to do from your understanding. So it's not something that you need to memorize. You have to understand if you execute or if you do some actions, what it's doing. So is it doing what is expected to do, or does it do something different? You need to understand those. Yes, definitely, I agree. And it is also same thing for Brother Alam to, like, not to memorize. He has given you questions to prepare yourself, so you can go through the questions and answers and see what you know, what you don't know. If you don't know anything, make sure you note this down. And whenever he joins the 2 days, he's going to be joining 2 days in a week, like 7 to 9. And during that time, you guys can go through these understanding part of it, and you don't have to practice quality. You can practice the other 5 days with us, putting your thought together, telling about yourself and other things. But at least, you will cover these two, the Selenium and the Java part, whatever you don't understand and whatever you need to know.
And yesterday I already spoke with Alam Bhai in the class. Actually, Java part is really very difficult. Already he covered a lot of things, and maybe some of the things also need to cover. And for interview question, if we get like 2-3 sessions for interview purpose, he just show me these things for this reason is coming. if he give us some technical things, if he show us, so that time it will be helpful for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Brother,
Let him know. Tell him when he joins and tell him. I think
yeah,
it is the Maghrib time.
Brother Murshad, in the Java question that we had so many confusion, but since a very few time we are getting opportunity to have Brother Alam class, so we are not able to ask in those questions that.
That is fine. So nowadays, like we schedule on Brother Alam from next week, like coming week. They will take 2 days of class. Like it's going to be joining a 2 session. So you guys have a lot of time to cover up lots. So please go through. I'll encourage every one of you. Please send this.
So far, yes. So far, Selenium, whatever we did, okay, we are fine. But for Java interview, that is very difficult to explain in interview.
So
we will definitely.
No, even the question is not understood, but you still need to understand. Like when you say something, you have to kind of deliver that properly to the interviewer. Like, okay, this is yes, it does this, it doesn't do this, the reason because of this. Yes, it does it if you do it this way. So like I'm just making something up. Like I'm saying that if you utilize this functions, yes, it does not return, but yes, if you add or if you do a different way, it does return or doesn't return. So this is the things that you have to understand, and he will explain it to you guys. Definitely, we're gonna have 2 days of a session for him, and you should be able to get all your question answered. So it is Maghrib time. If you guys if you guys wanted to join again after Maghrib, I'm fine with it. Or if you want to just end the session for today, we can meet again tomorrow.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
I think we can conclude that session today.
Okay, inshallah. Then we'll join again tomorrow at the same time. Inshallah.
Cheers.
Till then, everybody have a nice weekend. Assalamu alaikum.
Same to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.